lovely friends, it's Margaret, and it is time to talk about some series that I may have forgotten about. Whoops. Welcome to the third day in the 12 Days of Margaret. Today's topic is series that I just kind of forgot I was reading. I sat down with my Goodreads and I made a list of 15 of them that I want to finish next year. I've been sitting down thinking about my yearly goals. Maybe not finished. That might be, I don't know how 2021 is going to go, but I would like to make progress in these series. And so finishing series is going to be, spoiler alert, one of my 2021 reading goals. You'll see that video in a couple of days. So just hold your horses there. I did not count series that I have been working on consistently this year. So like the Expanse series, I do want to finish that one so that I can be with everyone crying at the end of the 9th book, so that if it burns me the way certain other sci-fi series have, I at least have some people that I can commiserate with in the moment and not just be angry by myself. These are in no particular order, but number one is going to be Ace of Shades by Amanda Foody. I remember finishing this book and just, like, this is one of those that I finished it and didn't know what to do with myself for the longest freaking time. I was just like, what is life? And the reason for that was because the ending, and I needed the next book. But I couldn't get the next book because the library was closed. It was closed, and Barnes & Noble was closed, and like I would have gotten my butt to the bookstore, but it was closed. So I couldn't. I would have gone and picked it up the next day, but I don't think any of the ones near me had King of Fools. And then I had some time to reflect on the fact that this ended badly. And from what I understand, King of Fools also ends in a way that you want the sequel. And I realized I had to wait until this year for Queen of Fools to come out. So I was just like, you know what? What if I don't put myself through that pain? So now that all of the books are out in this series, it is time to put myself through the pain. The next series that I have been stalling on, it makes me a bad Percy Jackson fan. We need to finish this, and that is The Trials of Apollo by Riordan. I'm gonna be completely and totally honest. I am reading this series for the Percy and Annabeth cameos. I'm sorry. It is a wonderful series. It is amazing. I love it, but I do not love it so far as much as Percy Jackson and the Heroes of Olympus. My favorite characters are not as prominent. However, the moments we get with Percy in this book are chef's kiss. But I have been stalling on this because I knew this was kind of the last thing Rick Riordan was gonna do. And I'm not mad that I stalled because Apollo is kind of just not my favorite narrator that he has ever written. But I am going to finish this series because he does get better as this book goes on, and hopefully he will have more self-awareness than your average Olympian by the end of the series. I do really like what Rick is doing with this, and the villain that he has come up with for this series. I'm intrigued with what he's going to be doing, and again, ready for more Percy cameos. I do not own any of this next series because I was waiting for them to decide what the final cover was going to look like on the final book. They've done enough cover changes on this series that I was like, I'm going to be careful about this. And that is the Ember and the Ashes Quartet. I read the first one when it came out. I read the second one when it came out. I read the third one very shortly after it came out. And now it has been so long since I read that book. I don't remember much. Like, I barely remembered enough for book 3. Ember the Ashes, Tortured Into the Night, Rebirth the Gates. Rebirth the Gates is the name. So I am realizing I probably need to reread the first 3 and then read the final one. But this is a high priority unless someone comes in my comments who knows me and says, Margaret, you're gonna hate the ending of the book. In that case, please warn me. Like, spoil the frack out of me. Please, I am begging you, if either Laia or Elias ends up dead at the end of the series. Everyone else is fair game. Some of them I'm even rooting for to bite it. But they're my ship, and I don't do well when my ship goes down badly. That is cold tea. The 4th series on this list, I, by all rights, should have finished 2 Januaries ago. So January of 2019, I was 100 pages from the end of this book. And then I got distracted. I think what happened was Blackathon happened, and I only wanted to read Black authors that month, last year. And so I put this down expecting myself to get back to it because I was really into it, but I was like, it's fine. I'm in a good stopping spot, so let's just do that. And I didn't finish it before February happened, and then it's been 2 years, and I still need to finish Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. I don't think I need to reread the first 2 books in this case because I do have a pretty good awareness of or memory of what happened in books 1 and 2. So, and also this main storyline for this is like, it's a culmination of the first 2 books plus a new main 2 characters. So I'm not terribly worried about not remembering things because I did read this recently, sort of. It's been almost 2 years, my word. How has that happened? The next one is on the list because the final book comes out next year. So I'll probably get to this late 2021. But that is the Tiger at Midnight trilogy. I read this year. I loved the interplay between the 2 main characters. And then I just never got around to the second book because it was a bit difficult getting my hands on new books when I finished this. And then, you know, just the rest of the year has happened and I got distracted. But since book 3 is coming out, I would like to read book 2 and then book 3 so that I can finish this series. I know it's one that a lot of people do not like. They don't really feel that there's anything going on with the plot, but I don't care because I like the romance and the romance is good. And I liked kind of the cat and mouse game that was going on between the 2. The next series that I need to finish, I don't know if this is the correct name, but it is the This Mortal Coil series by Emily Suvada. This I read during it was one of my small booktuber shout out videos, and I read it because This Mortal Coil is one of Deja's favorites books. Spoiler alert, Deja has a really good taste in books. Deja from Diary of a Reader. If you don't follow her channel, check it out. Anyways, I'll have a link down below, but there was a twist at the end of the book, and I was like, what? Not sure how I feel about this. Am I into it? Yeah, I think I might actually be into. Okay, you got me. So now I need to finish the series. I kind of forgot I was reading it again. Could not get new books for a brief period because most of my books I get from my library. Has not been the case this year. Moving on to number 7 on this list, I need to finish the Flame in the Mist series by Renee Ahdieh. I don't know if I would say I would adore this book because this was not quite Wrath in the Dawn level, like, holy crap, this book has wrecked me. But I really enjoyed reading it. I really liked the main character, Mariko. And the love interest was fun. Not who I thought it was going to be, but I was okay with it. And yes, I need to finish the series. It is supposedly a Mulan retelling, and it is kind of like if the whole concealing your gender for your own protection so that you can do things that you would not be able to do while presenting as the gender that you were born with or identify as. That part of the Mulan storyline is in this book, but it is not like, yeah, it's not Mulan. It's got Easter eggs for Mulan, the Disney movie, but it's definitely not the same story. There is no Li Shang, but like, how do you duplicate perfection? The next series I need to finish, and I need to finish rereading this and then finish the final book, and that is the Collector series by Dot Hutchison. This is the series that got me into thrillers because I read The Butterfly Garden and it just emotionally wrecked me, destroyed me. I was in Starbucks trying not to cry with this book. It's a lot, and that wasn't what wrecked me. Like, I will say this series has so many trigger warnings. Do your research. I'm not going to go over all of them, but I will say that this series, as good as it is, does have some really tough material because the FBI team that kind of goes through the entire series, like it's following them, and it's also every single book focusing on a different serial killer, but their team specifically deals with children. So just know, especially I think it's the summer children, hard stuff in this series. However, I freaking love it. And I want to finish it because there are answers. There are answers I need in this book. We've been waiting 3 books since she dropped the hints for it in the first book. We've been waiting for the answers. And I need another series that I have been trying to read and just not been useful or able to focus on is the Vampire Academy series by Rochelle Mead. I made the mistake. No, it wasn't a mistake because gosh, Bloodlines is good. But I read Bloodlines first, and so I kind of know how this ends, so there isn't as much need for me to like just devour all of these because they are all out. I just finished Shadow Kiss. That was the most recent one that I finished, and something happens at the end of Shadow Kiss that I knew was coming. because of what I know from Bloodlines, and I know it ends happy, but I'm not ready to deal with it. I'm just not ready to deal with the emotional torment that I know is going to happen in book 4. So I have probably been avoiding this series, but I need to finish it because I do really like this series. It's a lot more lighthearted, a lot more fun, I think, than the Bloodline series. Bloodlines is a lot more serious because Sydney as a protagonist is a lot more serious. Rose is very much more like tongue-in-cheek and stuff, and I enjoy that about her. The narration styles are very different, but they also very much fit the main character. Another series that I need to finish is the Winter Night series by Katherine Arden. I enjoyed The Bear and the Nightingale. I thought it was good. It's not one that I was in a huge hurry to get to, and I'm realizing that the fact that I was not in a huge hurry to finish means I'm not going to finish it if I don't make finishing it a goal. So I did really like the world building. I liked the conversations, that's the word, around gender and religion and how that meshes with the world. And I just, like, it really takes a look at religion. And if you don't know much about me, I do like books that do that, especially when we're looking at Christianity and how it can and can't work with traditional beliefs. So we are moving on to the Sea of Ink and Gold series. I read The Reader earlier this year. Maybe it was last year. Time has been weird this year, guys, so I'm not entirely sure if this was this year or last year, but I did enjoy the first book. I like the way, because the way the story is told, you have the main character, and then you have this story within a story, and they are connected in a way, and I loved it. So I need to finish the next book in this series, get my hands on them. I just want to finish. We are going to read this. Moving on, I want to reread and then continue on with the Wheel of Time series. I read Eye of the World earlier last year. I read it last year because it was for the Owls Readathon. I was pleasantly surprised because I've read a lot of fantasy that kind of looks and feels like this. And it was surprisingly modern in the way that it dealt with its female characters. I was so happy to read this and see that, like, there wasn't any unnecessary, like, violence against women. Like, yes, it's a part of the world, and I appreciated the way they was, but it wasn't like Carrie Goodkind's books where it just kind of, why? So I want to finish on with this series, partly because I was really happy to see that Robert Jordan put some thought into making sure his female characters had their own stories outside of the main male protagonist that is in this book. I understand we have many protagonists in this world. Yeah. And then I also want to read it because I know Brandon Sanderson writes the last few books. Whew, just listening to him talk about the number of characters in this series is overwhelming, and I hope I never have that many characters to have to deal with in one book ever. Good Lord. But we are going to be reading this. The next series I want to finish is the Crazy Rich Asians series. This one I mostly haven't finished because I started it in audiobook, and I prefer, or I like if I can, to continue on with series in the format that I start the first book in, if it's possible. It isn't always possible, and, like, I'm not afraid to break from that, but, like, if I can, I like to do that. And I've also heard that people have had issues with the footnotes in the books, and I didn't feel the footnotes were an issue when I was listening to it. I don't know if they would bother me if I was reading it. I don't think so, because in, like, hindsight, like, thinking about other books that I have read, I've never been bothered by footnotes before. Second to last one on the list is the Beasts Made of Night series by Tochi Onyebuchi. I read the first book 2 years ago, I think, and really enjoyed it. I liked the world. He had this really intricate, interesting magic system. There were a couple of things that I was like, wait, how did we get there? But I think that was more because I wasn't paying attention the way I should have been. I listened to it as an audiobook, and audiobooks, especially, like, when I go into fantasy, I'm not always the most, let's see, attentive reader, that's the word. And it doesn't usually bother me. It's very rarely a problem. When it is, I'll usually just rewind. But by the time I realized I needed to rewind in this series, we were already at the end of the book. So I think what's going to happen is I need to reread this physically, and then I will read the second book physically as well, just because I was so fascinated by the world, and I do want to finish this series because it was really good. And the final series that we need to talk about is the Iron King series. Iron Fae series by Julie Kagawa. This was my first Julie Kagawa series that I read. I've read this book. I know I've read this book. I have memory of reading this book. According to Goodreads, I have also read the second book. I have no memory of reading the second book. Just what happened? I don't know. I'm not sure. It has been erased from my mind. It'll probably be one of those things where, like, I'm reading, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this happening, and this happening, and this happening. But yeah, I have no memory of reading this book at all. Now that you know some of the series that I am going to be reading, I want to know some of the series that you are going to be reading. What was that? Why would I do that? Just in the comments, if you're feeling chatty, let me know a series that you have forgotten about or that you've been avoiding or putting off. Let me know. I would like to see, and why. If you are not feeling chatty, please feel free to leave your favorite emoji in the comments just to let me know that you watched this video all the way to the end. Or if you want to make me suffer, go ahead and leave me the plot of the book that you are reading in emojis. We'll see if I can figure out what book it is. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, I will have videos over here. Here, a bit more room. I will have videos over here that you can watch. If you enjoy this video, you might watch other videos. I'll have whatever yesterday for the 12 Days of Margaret was. Have that there. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!